Shadow of the Tomb Raider looks set to take Lara down to even greater depths than ever before, with her own actions in her single-minded fight against Trinity the cause of so much pain and something that she has to face up to across the course of this game. Descent and depth are going to be a bit of a running theme through the game, and we sank a few hours into its opening as Lara and Jonah travel through the jungles of Peru in search of a lost city. We've got a much more general preview of our early journey through the game for you to check out, but here's a bonus set of 10 things that we also learnt along the way. Number 1, there's some new traversal techniques. Lara Croft has always been about pulling off these implausible and death-defying acts of acrobatic traversal, but Shadow of the Tomb Raider has found ways to take this to even greater extremes in this game. One key new trick is being able to seamlessly go from having a climbing axe implanted in soft rock to rappelling down on lengths of rope that make me think that Lara is actually some kind of rope spider. This leads to a couple of other tricks, like then being able to pendulum back and forth along walls, or leap, throw her axe at some soft rock, and then immediately just carry on rappelling down. Add it in alongside all of the existing moves like the axe grapple and the other acrobatic leaps, and there's some damn impressive moments in this game. One thing is for certain, and that's that you're going to need every single one of these tricks to overcome some of the more dynamic puzzles and challenges in the game. Number 2, she managed to avoid dressing up in a Jaguar skin bikini like Tarzan and Jane. There's plenty of playing dress up in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but Lara's greatest accomplishment here isn't blending in and ingratiating herself with the citizens of Paititi, it's in managing to avoid wearing jaguar fur in an overly sexual way. Acting purely out of self-defense, it must be said she is forced to kill jaguars that would like to take a big bite out of her. But before Jonah can say, "I'm glad you didn't get mommed on," she's already fashioning that jaguar pelt into some bits of clothing. Thankfully, instead of going for a fuzzy bikini, it's a pair of leg warmers and a short cloak to help keep the chill off. Then again, she does get it absolutely filthy by rolling around in the mud about 20 seconds later, so yeah, that thing is going to be filthy. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you can now switch between both tops and bottoms separately, giving different perks and benefits from these combinations to how you can actually then go about playing the game. Number 3, get a nice full body mud pack. Not so much about keeping her skin looking youthful and more about blending into the jungle like a sneaky little mud monster. Lara can now cover herself in wet mud and hide in certain walls of exposed mud and roots. This is a big part of her new ability to hit and fade in combat situations, where she can break off from combat and go back to a stealthier approach while the enemy is searching for her. Considering that this ability means that she's basically a mud thing hiding in mud, it's a pretty damn effective thing to be able to do. Number 4, she's still very sneaky, but now she's even more stabby. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is brutal with a capital B. Seriously, Lara fights like an absolute demon throughout this game, striking from the shrubbery, from the trees, the aforementioned mud banks, and doing so with vicious melee attacks, leaping takedowns, and just, the bow and arrow that is now her distinctive weapon. There is absolutely no holding back in any of these situations. Maybe she shares a kinship with a few other fictional characters that have lost their parents and beloved relatives, because she can hide in the trees and then strike from them in various different ways. You eventually get hallucinogenic arrows that can turn enemies on each other, sowing confusion through their ranks, while you can also use a tether arrow to hook an enemy, reel them in, and then leave them hanging from the tree like a gruesome warning to everybody else. It's actually quite a tame animation to start with, but a few character upgrades down the road, and this does get even more savage. They say that you have nothing to fear but fear itself, but I think that Lara might be able to change a few minds on that matter. Number 5, facing down a fearless frog. Perhaps these little blue frogs that I found in the jungles of Peru have got no natural predators, because they just happily chill out as Lara passes through and don't even leap away if you stand right next to them staring at them. They clearly have got absolutely no concept of danger or what a bow and arrow is, although to be fair most frogs don't know that one, but obviously I had to test to see how far this goes. I'm sorry, Mr. Frog. Number 6, awkwardly talking to the locals. Look, Lara isn't a people person, and she never has been since the reboot, and might never be again, with her only real friend in the world being Jonah, who sticks with her through thick and thin. As the pair of them stumble into a shantytown in the middle of the jungle, Lara's intent on scouting out some nearby ruins, leaving Jonah behind in the process, and she has to go and talk to some of the locals in order to do so. There's a few NPCs that you can chat to here as well, and if you're finding their stories a bit boring, your only option is to just back away in a really awkward manner. Bye. Number 7. Play Jonah's perfect wingman. No, Lara might not be great at talking to people, but she's also not completely blind to emotions. But when Jonah seems to be in with a shot with someone that they meet on their travels in this village, Lara knows the perfect time to exit stage left and let them get to know each other. But see point 6 about making this one a bit awkward as well. Number 8. Lara eats some special berries. You know what, man? Maybe Lara just needs a little help to loosen up a bit, if you know what I'm saying. No, she's not going to go as far as licking some blue frogs, but she does find some berries with some rather interesting effects. If you're on a hardcore playthrough that turns off Survivor Sense, then the perception berries might be a slightly more natural way of adding in the ability to highlight all of the resources and animals that you can see in the world and collect. Number 9. Uncover a lost civilization. The people of Paititi have lived in isolation for thousands of years, and following her gut and a handful of inconclusive clues, Lara manages to find them before Trinity does, but then also discovers that this is a city full of its own mystery, intrigue, and its own problems. This is a real centerpiece for the game, acting as the largest and most in-depth hub of the series, and you might be able to see a little bit of Eidos Montreal's previous work in how it's designed. There's tons of NPCs to talk to, there's mission givers to meet and, well, get missions from, and these will send you out into the surrounding environments, which are full of secrets to find, challenge tombs to take on, and so much more. Along the way, she'll be helping out the local citizens, and importantly, any of the many things that she discovers in these tombs, she actually brings them back to whoever they belong to. And maybe she'll learn a little bit about making small talk in the process. Number 10. Finally, Lara becomes the Tomb Raider once and for all. Yes, this is the third and final part of an origin story trilogy for Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, where the first game dropped her into the deep end and taught her how to survive. The second was all about learning her skills and becoming the Tomb Raider. This game is about understanding the responsibility of what being the Tomb Raider is. It's her folly in particular that sets off a chain reaction of events that only she can then resolve. Of course, now that she is the Tomb Raider, the big question that remains is what's going to be the tagline of the next Tomb Raider game? And you should feel free to leave your suggestions in the comments below. Thanks as ever for checking out our video. I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's not as outright informative as our preview, which you can also always check out, but I did enjoy a lot of what I saw in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Before you go, please do click like, subscribe and share, and you can also come visit us over on the6thaxis.com where we've got these features and a big old interview with some of the developers, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Goodbye!